Yay Networks.
Welcome to a brand new episode of the Fitish podcast. I'm Jenna, and oh wait, Francisco's not here today. I'm here doing this solo. This is going to be an interesting day. Francisco, pulling back the curtain, we record together from my office every week, and he just called me. He was running late, per usual, and he just got into a car accident. He's okay. Someone came into his lane. He said it wasn't his fault. We'll see. Hopefully he'll still have insurance after this, but anyway, he's all right, but he isn't able to make it today, and we have a set recording time. So I'm about to ride out this podcast solo. If you really hate me and you only listen for Francisco, now would be the good time to tune out of this show. But I had some things I wanted to talk about anyway, and I don't often sit and mope about things going on in my life because I think I have a pretty good life, but about a month ago, I kind of put myself out there for something with Fitish, and I wanted to kind of have a conversation about rejection and feeling sort of lost in life in general, because I think that it probably happens to all of us, I hope, and I think sometimes sharing things with you all on a real deep personal level, it makes you hopefully relate more, or it makes me feel not as alone when you reach out to me and tell me that you go through things like this as well. And I can't really say exactly what it was, but I didn't get it. Something that I was trying for my business, and went through a really long process, and then ultimately I didn't get it. And I feel so disappointed. And there's something about rejection I've found as I've gotten older that I actually feel that rejection is kind of more difficult to process sometimes, maybe because when you're younger, you have a lot of years ahead of you. Does that make sense? That now that I'm almost 40 years old, when you do try to go for something and put effort into something, it can really hurt when it doesn't happen because you feel like you don't know how much time you have left, or there's a lot riding on it, and my whole team was involved, and I feel like maybe I let them down, or they won't believe in me as much, because of that. And it's so hard when you believe in something and you put yourself out there. And I want to shed some light on how I handle things like this, because I think over the years with rejection, and I'm talking about any kind of rejection, right? Whether this is personal, in your personal life, a relationship failing, getting dumped, getting heartbroken, maybe losing a job, some of these major things that happen, losing a friendship, it can be so hard to process, and you kind of want this closure. You want to understand why this happened. And for me, I think that so many of things like that, right, are out of our control. So I had done, therapy over the years and a lot of reading about it. And something I have found that has worked for me, just in case you're kind of going through this, and is just trying to pivot sort of quickly, give yourself a weekend, give yourself a few days to kind of grieve. Maybe longer if it's a heartbreak, right? I'm kind of talking more about a career kind of loss or missed opportunity. But I think I have found over time, when I'm able to kind of put this, what would normally be negative energy, into something maybe perspective shifting or just more positive in general, it really helps me bounce back in a better way than just kind of, groveling and moping about over something. Because let's be real, if you lose something that you wanted, like, you probably aren't going to get it. And you just have to figure out another solution. And I know a lot of people can rely heavily on faith at times like this, but for someone like me, who admittedly is just more agnostic in general, I do believe in like a greater purpose, I hope, or something out there. But it's hard for me to say this was God's plan, which actually makes it really even more difficult, I think, right? When you don't have kind of a faith to fall back on. And so anyway, I am feeling so much better after just not even a week of this kind of this rejection happening, because I said, well, you know what, there's been something on my plate, right, that I haven't had the time for and the bandwidth for, because I've been putting so much effort behind the scenes into this project, and something that I've wanted to get going with the business. And it's something we actually just did for the first time this morning. And I wanted to share that with you. I think that by harnessing kind of this rejection. And if you can find something else, and it doesn't have to be anything major like what I'm about to tell you, but if you can harness it. And that's exactly what I did many years ago when I was heartbroken with a personal relationship. And at the time it feels like the end of the world, and now years later it was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad things played out the way they did. But I put a lot of my effort into my business at that time, because instead of being mopey for weeks and months on end, I just said every time I felt sad, I was going to try and do something to kind of push my business forward. And I think if you can find a way, it's very difficult in the beginning, but if you can find a way to kind of harness this negative energy into something new that could be more positive, I think you'll be really surprised at where you end up. And so I want to put some faith in that, put faith in my own kind of personal efforts. And I have had this idea about doing something called Fitish Academy, where over the years, we do lots of philanthropic sort of endeavors, right? We partner up with other established charities to give back. Y'all have been super supportive whenever we've had you bring, feminine products or baby items to workout events. And it's been really nice. We've always passed them along, and we kind of showcase that for you. But I think after being, on the radio for many years and kind of getting to see the philanthropic side and the platform you have to be able to give back to the community was just something I've really been missing, for many years here. And so I wanted to start this endeavor where we align Fitish, like with who we are as a business, as a brand, now that I'm a mother and kind of my new identity, with something that, is giving back to the community more directly than us just supporting another charity that's already in existence. And so I had this idea for a while where I wanted to kind of find some Title I schools I had posted about not too long ago. I wanted to find those are, lower income schools. And I wanted to start supporting them in a small way by giving them Fitish related goods, right? Between merchandise, sporting equipment, Fitish product. We have tons of fun promo items, things like that. Healthy-ish snacks, because I know kids, especially, junior high school kids, are starving all the time. And we did our first one this morning. I forgot how early kids go to school. We went out and did a school here, North Garland High School. And I am assuming that the teacher's wife may be listening to this right now. But when I put it out there, she connected me with her husband. And it was such an effortless, fun thing that, after this rejection, which I know maybe this sounds selfish in a way, but, this had come right after this rejection. I took my team. We went to Walmart. We had a $1,000 budget. We bought so many goodies for the kids. I had my whole team. We all packed a bunch of stuff that we have here in the office together, merch and, products. And I got in touch with, it's actually a special ed section of the high school. And we were so nervous this morning. We got to the school, we set up on a football field. This teacher, he was just amazing to work with. He was super responsive. And he was like, well, I have 12 kids in my class, but there's 32 total, they do all 9 through 12 special ed. And I was like, no, we're not going to leave out a third of the kids that are all kind of together. But, I didn't know what their needs were and their sizes and if they'd even like this, high school kids, their special needs, but you don't know, is it more physical or is it mental? Is it everything? Are they, just a little behind and they're going to be too cool for school? So it can kind of be a nerve-wracking experience. I know my team was a little nervous going in because we haven't really done anything and taken ownership of something like this before. And y'all, it went so amazingly. And it was just so wonderful to be out there and meeting these kids. They were so excited, and the teacher was telling me some personal stories about some of the kids. And I know my girls were a little, it's sometimes you don't know how to interact with high school kids that you're just meeting for the first time. But we were out there playing soccer and playing kickball. And of course, they're demolishing all of the snacks. And we had a hanging rack of all the Fitish clothes. And they're kind of selecting, from the wardrobe rack of sweatshirts and stuff to pick out. And, the teacher had mentioned that they often wear the same shirt every day. So I think this kind of, moment for me it's really a nice pivot. It's just an example of a way to pivot and put energy into something that I've really been wanting to do. And, we all get very selfish and very bogged down with kind of our day-to-day lives. And it can be hard to put effort into everything that you want to do. So I looked at this rejection as a sign that maybe it was time to kind of start something that was, that's not, growing my business in any way, but it's growing my identity and my team's, kind of sense of purpose and self in such a way. And I think that something, over the years of working on the radio that I learned that was so incredible is I just think it's so important to, really find different areas of your community that you can serve a purpose in, and it doesn't have to be in this way or at this level, but there are just so many people out there that need some love and attention, and you don't have to have all the money in the world. And it's just about finding things that align with kind of your life and perspective. And I know we're all really busy, but I highly recommend kind of taking the time to figure out, what's accessible for you, what you can do, how you can, even if it's just once a year, how you can kind of give back. Because I think it can really help shift your perspective about your own kind of personal problems in your life and make you feel kind of a greater sense of purpose. And I think that when you live a more purpose-driven life, it really helps you, just feel better in general, right? And feel not as maybe, I guess I get really kind of claustrophobic in my own life sometimes, if that makes sense. And especially now being a mom, right? And I know a lot of you that are pregnant or have children, it can be really suffocating, which sounds really negative to say, but it can be really suffocating in a lot of ways because you don't have a lot of you time anymore. And I think that I've been fortunate, kind of carrying on beyond, this endeavor, but to not have dealt with a lot of postpartum depression. But I've been feeling not in a funk lately, if that makes sense. I think with work, do you ever feel that way? Things just feel kind of stagnant and I feel creatively uninspired. And I've actually been feeling that way for a couple of months now. And I don't like it because that's just not normally me. I think I've just been really low energy and, being a mom and working and being a dad too, for that matter, obviously being a parent, it can just take so much out of you. And I thought I'd kind of made it through, once we get through that whole beginning of, oh, wow, I didn't get postpartum depression, but then I'm like, well, gosh, I don't feel depressed, right? I would always be honest with you all about it. And I do a lot of self-checks on it, but I've just been feeling kind of, what are the next steps for me, for my business and, how to grow. And I think it's just so hard sometimes, right? When we're just grinding out the day to day. So I just want you to know I've been in a funk. I've been feeling that way. I'm trying to work my way out of it. I'm not trying to sit here and preach. I don't like that, which it sounds that way since I'm alone today and I don't have Fran to bounce off of. But I do think that, taking a step back sometimes and trying to shake some of these other daily habits we have, the phone, for instance, for me has been a real thing at night. So I recently, and that's kind of what I mean by pivoting. It doesn't have to be some huge charitable, give back in the community either, but it's kind of pivoting your negative energy. I think the phone, when you're not feeling great, is just the worst time suck ever. And Fran and I have this routine every night when we put Remy to bed that we are, we lay in bed on our respective phones. He plays chess or we're both on TikTok. We show each other videos. We talk a little bit. We throw on a show that we can watch for a bit and then also be on our phones. And, you get in this cycle, right, for what's probably months at a time. And we'll lay there from 7:30 until 10:30 until one of us falls asleep. And I just said, fuck, I have to break this cycle, right? I just keep seeing book recommendations on Book Talk. And I thought, I used to love to read, and reading was so good for my vocabulary. And I used to love to read as a kid, and I love reading to Remy. And why did I stop reading? We know why. The same reason I stopped my Spanish lessons. Like, we don't have time. But I think that you have to make some time for the things you want to do. And I don't particularly want to exercise. I don't have the time for that. I don't want to cook all the time. There's things I definitely don't want to do, but I think reading books has been a really exciting pivot for me. To just kind of break up the monotony of the day. And I bought a bunch of fiction books, actually, which I hadn't read in a long time. Some scary thriller fiction books. So I'll post some of those if y'all are interested, or if you've read any good ones, send them to me and I can post that because I always like sharing that with everyone. But yeah, I think that I'm trying to break the cycle of feeling in a funk. And the only way to do it is to change your routine. And it can be on a small scale or on a really big scale. And I think that's just my little soapbox advice, is to try and get out of, if you're not feeling good, then stop doing some of the day-to-day stuff that you're doing and start trying some new things. So And hopefully going forward, we can get some support with the Fitish Academy. I know some of you wrote me about your Title I schools, and I was in touch with some of you. So I have a list of the schools. We obviously can't do every school every week. We don't have the money to do that. But my goal is to maybe grow this into something where I can get some donations from the sports teams here locally. So, I can grow and start getting more freebies and have y'all donate stuff when you come to workout events and whatnot. But it could be really exciting, hopefully. Is Francisco here? Amazing. Well, just like that, back from a car accident and here in time for the podcast, so you don't have to listen to me drone on and on alone, is Francisco. Welcome to the show.
Hello. I feel like I just shake hands with Edward Scissorhands.
Are you okay?
Yes, a little shaky, but I'm good.
It looks like you have dirt on your head and blood on your pants.
That sounds like something would happen. Where's the dirt?
All over your hands and
Oh,
your
I
forehead and blood on your pants. Are you okay?
The thing is that my door handle got blown away. Half of the door got blown away.
Fran, your hand's all bloody. Hold on. We need to take a break for a second and let Fran get situated, and then we'll come back to the show.
I'm good. I'm ready.
Fran, this is live action. No, your hand's all cut up.
Just a couple of little scratches.
Let us get your camera set up and we'll take a break and hear from one of our sponsors, and then we'll fill everyone in on the drama that just happened. But thank you for joining us. Oh my gosh. We'll be right back. Isn't it just such a feel-good thing when you feel like your child is developing in a positive direction? And I feel like we spend so much time, is he saying the words he should be saying? Am I doing things right, especially as a first-time parent? And something I feel like we have done right as parents is getting a KiwiCo subscription. You've heard me talk about KiwiCo before. They are a sponsor of the Fitish podcast, and it's because we love them. And this is just such a great subscription service for kids of all ages, by the way. I almost can't even keep up with all the ages they offer because, when you have a toddler, you live in the day-to-day. But KiwiCo is defining the future of play by making engaging, enriching activities and making play fun, but also with developmentally appropriate activities, right? For instance, when Remy was a baby, you're like, what do I do with a baby? He didn't need to do anything. He just eats and sleeps. Not necessarily true. You want to do tummy time. You learn you want to have black and white flashcards. They start to kind of explore with their senses first, the touching, the seeing, that sort of thing. And KiwiCo is the expert on all things developmentally appropriate. And so with the subscription, you are getting a crate line with, often, I think our first Panda crate had 6 different activities, whether it was the flashcards or kind of a braided ball with, a bell inside, things that Remy was really excited to play with. And then as they progress, you can get crates that are appropriate for different age groups and all the way up through teenagers, which those projects are going to be hard for me to do. I just know it. But they're so excited, of course, as they get older to open it. This is also a really great gift for the expectant parent in your life. If you have a friend or if you're a grandparent and you want to be buying, something that's actually meaningful that they're going to use and the kid's going to use. But we've absolutely loved our KiwiCo subscription. I know you will too. Redefine learning with play. Explore hands-on projects that build creative confidence and problem-solving skills with KiwiCo. Get 50% off your first month plus free shipping on any crate line at kiwico.com/fitish. That's 50% off your first month at kiwico.com/fitish. So when I first started the show solo, I teased it like you were here and was like, no, he got in a car accident. But, we only had a brief phone call. I was sitting here ready to record and you said you were okay, that someone came into your lane and it was his fault and you were going to have to miss the show. And then here you walk in and we had to leave everyone hanging on a break for a second. But he's not covered in blood by any means, but I started noticing it seemed like he had some like it was Ash Wednesday on his forehead and and a little bit of blood on your fingers. So I'm glad you're here, but you're clearly kind of shaken up. What happened?
So I was coming here, driving to record this lovely podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy with a huge pickup truck, those that like the dualies with a huge trailer, starts trying to get into my lane. And I had a fucking 18-wheeler next to me. So I couldn't move. So I tried to beep and I tried to pass and like for him
beep,
to
beep, beep.
Yeah, beep, 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 beep. And he tried, like, I tried to make sure that he sees me because he wasn't. I'm pretty sure he wasn't. And he just went BAM, and the whole car shook. Like the whole
car.
car. Yeah, my car.
You
like
didn't hit
two
anyone
wheels.
else?
No, I didn't hit anybody else. I was about to hit the
Your
18 wheeler.
passenger door.
No, my
Driver door.
my driver door is all stripped. That's why my fingers are caught because
Why are your
I
fingers
have to
cut?
stick my finger out
To get out of the car?
open
No.
the latch. So the whole panel on the door is damaged. It's completely gone, and the door handle is completely gone. So it has a little latch that you can still open the door, but it's all caught metal. So it's like shaking hands with Edward Scissorhands.
It's a really perfect
But,
analogy,
yeah,
Fran.
It's like,
Wait, so you're okay,
yes,
and it's his fault,
yes,
and he took responsibility.
no. Of course he didn't. He's like, I was already in the lane. Like, dude, you weren't in the lane.
So what happens?
So I have pictures. The way that he hit me, like the story is correct. What he said is like, well, the thing is that I was already getting in the lane and I didn't see you. It's like, that's it. Like, you didn't see me. How was it my fault? It's like, well, but the thing is that you saw me. It's like, yes.
Do you have any witnesses?
No, there's no one. So it's going to be a little bit of a battle. But
isn't that why you call the cops?
yeah, but the cops weren't coming. So we called 911. They said that just to file a report if everybody is okay. Like, nobody's going to come and say, oh, no, you're right. So we're just going to let the insurance assess the damage of the car and figure out that, yeah, it's from the front to the back of the car.
And his car's not damaged.
No, he had a bumper the size of Texas.
Wow.
Yeah, no, his car is pristine.
I don't like the he said, she said, though, because that happened to me one time, and someone ran a light off a busy street when I was pulling out, and I didn't get any witnesses. It was very clear. Like, I surely thought, even when when the guy pulled over, was like, I'm so sorry about that. And then the cops show up. He's like, oh, I didn't do that. She ran the light. And I looked at him like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, people just go on it because they don't want to get in trouble, especially if he's in like a work car or something.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're okay. Are you going to lose your insurance though?
Well, I don't know.
Are you going to have to
must be a
come back to mama? You're going to have to come back on mama's car insurance?
They're going to be a little upset if that thing is total again, though. But that's why you pay for insurance.
Yeah. Fran had a string of a few accidents back in the day. Not all his fault, but it was like motorcycle.
And I
and
was
something else.
leaving
And
them
Fran
way behind me.
And Fran had to get on my insurance for a bit. And I was like, come to mama's, good insurance right now. Yeah. And then after a while, I'm like, I'm still paying your fucking insurance. Like, accidentally, it was on my tab. And I was like, am I going to get in trouble if you get in a wreck and you're on my insurance? I feel like I have a teenage boy.
Anyhow.
Well, I'm glad you're okay. Are you sure you're okay?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'll see maybe I have PTSD after
That's
jumping
what happens,
around.
though. Everyone knows that after a car wreck, right? That's what happens. I don't see anything on.
Oh, 10 till 11.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. Yeah.
So that was it. It's very evident by the way that the car is being hidden that is his fault. So I'm not very concerned about that.
Well, you
and
should.
his story actually, even though he says
You record him?
yes, and
Good, smart.
even though he keeps saying, well, the thing is that you got into me, it's like you were getting in my lane.
You were changing lanes.
You were
Exactly.
changing lanes.
You had the right of way. Exactly. Good. Was he an old guy?
No, I actually liked him. He was a guy from Monterrey, Mexico.
Ah.
Yeah.
Did he have insurance?
Yeah, no. He's like in a big company. Like that's
Interesting. You actually like him.
Yeah, I like the guy. Like we had a conversation.
Let's ask Fran again in a week or two after insurance claims if he still likes the guy. If he's still a good guy from Monterey.
When I say I actually like him, it means that I know I'm gonna dislike him very, very soon.
Yeah. Well, you should take an Advil.
I should, for sure.
You should take an Advil. Last night, for days now, I should say, I've been saying to Fran, I think I've injured. This is a mom injury. Okay, moms, you hear me? I feel like I have what they call tennis elbow, which I've never had before, but I feel like I have something called tennis elbow, right? Like my elbow, it really hurts.
Doc MD and
before it started, though, the other day, days ago, I had Fran. I was like, you never rub me anymore. Like something's going on. Like every time I move my arm, you know, when you just like can't even really pick up your arm, like my shoulder, my rotator cuff hurts so bad. And now it's my elbow too. I genuinely think I have an injury. I only carry Remy on my left hip. I don't know why on that side, even though I'm more right side dominant. But maybe that's normal for all of us. I carry him on my left side. And I'm in so much pain, and it's been like this for like days. And so, you know, you make conversation with your partner, and I say to Fran last night, I'm like, gosh, I like really, really feel like you rubbed it the other day and it felt really good when you were doing it, but I don't feel any relief now and any better. And I was like, God, my shoulder, like I really think I might have like, I don't have a torn rotator cuff, I don't think, but like, you know, pulled a muscle or strained something or whatever. I definitely have an injury of some sort. And Fran goes, you should take an Advil. I was like, fucking great, Fran.
But the thing is that
you should take an Advil. Have you taken an Advil? You should take an Advil. So now every time, Fran, like last week, he's like, oh, my plantar fasciitis. Oh, my gout. I can't move my foot. Take an Advil.
Every time that I complained is after I already taken the medicine. So, you know, like I take the medicine, then I complain, not the other way around.
I just am not really into taking medicine.
I see.
I don't know. I don't feel like Advil's going to get the job done for this injury. I need like a painkiller.
Give it a shot.
I'll give it a shot. No, I appreciate your concern though. Thank you. I will look into taking an Advil. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to help my injury, but thank you. I think it's just more of a joke. It's so funny that like, that's just how guys are, like just so practical, you know, instead of being like, oh baby, can I get you something? Can I rub it for you?
I started with that.
No, you didn't. No, take an Advil. Oh, baby, can I get you anything? Do you want me to rub it? Do you want something hot and warm on it? You used to be that way. I don't know when he retired, but you used to be that way. Now it's just like, there's some Advil somewhere. Go look for them.
I would have looked for that for you if you said, yes, give me an Advil. I would have gotten you an Advil and water with your Advil.
Water with my Advil? And then I'm like out there, I was telling a story earlier on the show, I'll fill you in tonight when we connect, but about our event this morning, which was super nice. I sent you photos, you never responded, so charming. But I was like out there I couldn't throw a football, but I was trying to play soccer with kids. And when I tell you how winded I am after like dribbling half the length of a football field, Fitish is not the best way to describe me anymore.
Babe.
Out of shape-ish.
We're almost 40.
I know. We are.
We cannot be dribbling around without warming out.
Trying to juggle a soccer ball.
2 Advils today.
2 Advils? 2 Advils, yeah.
I might need also 2 Advils.
This might be one of those days. I have like one, I don't know what it was.
I'm starting to feel some stiffness.
I have one painkiller left from my cesarean that I kept just in case I ever had some sort of injury
we
from
might have to
momming.
go halfsies.
No.
We might have to go halfsies tonight.
It's possible. It's a need. It's a need, not a want. Well, I'm glad you're all right. I'm glad you were able to join us today, and I'm glad you're doing okay.
Yeah, it was a little dramatic, but I hate when this stuff happens, you know?
There was so much more I want to discuss on today's show. But
I know. We have so much news.
We have so much news. So much news for y'all. But I didn't want to share some of the news solo.
No.
I mean, if you had not abruptly come into the show today, I would have been forced to do it on my own. I would have shared some of the news because I had it all plotted out and scheduled. I was going to be organized.
I think we should save it for the next one.
We'll save it for next episode. And also on the next episode, we are going to have a guest that I booked. Have you read her book and planned for the interview?
I have.
Yeah.
She talks about wines.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful.
And
well
moms.
said. Yeah. So tune in next week and we are going to share some big life update news with y'all. And we're going to have an awesome guest join the show. We'll see y'all next week.